Okay, so I'm using Premiere Pro CS6, and my interface might be slightly different than yours, but I'm going to go ahead and show you how to change the speed, something that's very popular to do in a lot of situations. Sometimes you want slow motion in your movie. Sometimes you just want an image to be a little bit longer, and maybe it's a still and it can be longer, but you don't have enough frames, so slow motion is a way to do it. And sometimes you might be doing a duration piece where your audience really need, you want to get to the end, but your audience doesn't need to see all that time, you know. Anyway, so here's kind of a little bit of a duration piece where you're watching this harmonic graph do this drawing on a plate, and it's kind of slow and it doesn't really change over time, and it just kind of keeps going and going, and it's a little bit boring to see that whole thing through. So what I can do is I can just change the time. So I'm going to click on that and go into clip, and there's something called speed duration. You'll see it's Command R, and it's a nice little simple little area. It just does a couple of things, mostly changing the speed. So if we make this speed a little bit shorter, we can change this from 100 to 500%. And now it will be sort of silly fast. All right, so I have kind of a cartoony thing going. Okay, I'll undo that and do my Command R again, and instead I'll make it 50%, which will make it longer. And you see that Premiere doesn't really allow you to go beyond my next clip, but it will slow down what I have. And what it does is when it gets to the end, it just cuts off the information so that it goes right to the next clip. Okay. And so let's undo that and look at something else. So if I wanted to make this longer, I'm sorry, faster, so make it 200%, so it's a little less ridiculous, but it gets me through it faster. What it does is it gives me this gap here, but there's another feature that I can make it 200%, but give it a ripple edit. So I'm just basically making the speed 200%, and I can add a ripple delete in the blank frames that follow it. So watch what happens now. The clip will get half the size, but there won't be a big gap here. And boom, it cuts it all in. Okay, and cut. So I've made a faster clip, and it goes to the end. But say I want to make a more realistic transition between this image and the next one. I'm going to do something a little more complicated, and I can change my speed over time. Now this is the trick where not everybody has this interface here. If I uncollapse my channel, I typically find my opacity line. But if you notice, you see this little text up here. I have the name of the file here, and I also have opacity. Opacity equals opacity. And that's because, as we saw earlier, as we did earlier, we can change the opacity of our video and make it translucent and show up whatever's underneath it. And that's the default. However, I can change it to other things, and I'm going to change this to speed. So it's a little tricky to find. The little text here has a little triangle there, and that's where I find it. And I change it from time remapping. Speed is my only option. And you see this actually changes. Then I'm going to go up here, and we have been working in motion and opacity and kind of ignoring time remapping. Well, now we're going to go into time remapping. And you see I have keyframes and I have speed at 100%. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some more keyframes. And I'm going to make a keyframe at the beginning of my clip and at the end. At the beginning and sort of in the middle, I mean. Okay, and then when I look here, I'm going to click and drag this up. And there's going to be some kind of, yeah, there's some funky timing going on in here because what I'm doing is I'm changing the speed for part of the clip, but not the rest of the clip. And you can see that it gives me this squared waveform here. And well, let's just look and see what it does. It goes fast, it's at 200%, 200%, and then boom, it goes slow again. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that's kind of what I want. I want it to speed up so I don't have to look at it all, but then I want it to transition into what it really is supposed to look like. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click and drag this little bit there, and that's going to change the duration again because now it's transitioning from fast to slow. And I'm just going to delete that there. And now see what I have. So it's cutting very fast, maybe a little too fast. And then it kind of slowly transitions to something slower. It needs a little render. And that way, when it cuts to this image here, it feels natural and where it's supposed to be. So now that I've done this, I'll go ahead and render the effects that I just created and smooth that out a little bit. And that is how I can change the speed of a clip and change the speed of a clip over time. So have fun.